Welcome home, my leadership friends. Some of the hardest workers I've ever met are not the ones in corner offices. They're in the field or on the roof, under the hood, or behind the controls of heavy equipment. And they're builders, welders, maybe they were in the Marine Corps, carpenters, real craftsmen. But here's the question: if those who build the world aren't trained to lead, who will? But here's the question: if those who build the world aren't trained to lead, who will? Because leadership, not labor alone, determines what rises and what falls. And leadership is about influence, and influence can influence you positive or negative, and that's what I talk about all the time. And leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. But we want positive influence, right? People are looking at the world today and they're saying, maybe I don't want to go to college. I recommend college. I had a good time at college. I learned things that affect me today and help me today and hopefully make me think a little better. But you can make more money not going to college often, especially if you're interested in the trades and you know it. And that's not going to change if you go to college. But do you learn leadership skills in an apprentice program? You actually do learn leadership skills in the Marine Corps. There are, I believe, 11 leadership principles there. You should look that up because it's kind of cool. But what rises and falls? Across America, young people are rethinking the old path. A recent survey showed that 42% of Gen Z are choosing skilled trades over college, and they're looking at data that says they'll make more money than their buddies that are going to college and learning how to drink at the frat party. It didn't help my studies at all. But anyway, we're seeing what many of us have known: trades pay, and they pay well, and they are starting you out earning sooner. And if you're doing something related to a data center or AI, electricians, for example, can make a lot of money, about 56,000, maybe 57,000 a year without massive student loan debt. Huh, that sounds pretty good, right? Except for you might miss out on leadership and understanding how to lead your home and your family. So hopefully this podcast will help with that. But it is something you should learn in college and school and other places. But the Bible has a lot of biblical wisdom, and we'll cover some of that. But money isn't meaning. That's one of the things that we really need to think about. Colossians 3:23 reminds, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for men. The trades may teach you work ethic, but only leadership connects that work ethic to a higher purpose. I think the greatest example of leadership is Jesus, and he worked with his hands. We all know he was a carpenter, or most of us. In Mark 6:3, people said, isn't this the carpenter, the Son of God, shaping wood before he ever shaped the world through his teaching? That tells us something. Greatness isn't about title, it's about the heart behind the work. Every saw cut, every nail, every lesson learned on the job site can become an act of worship when we remember why we work and who we are working for. Now, this is kind of a weird thing for me to talk about to some people, but I thought I was working in democracy when I was a market researcher because we polled people, which is kind of like voting, right? And we asked people for their opinions, and we asked, as opinion researchers, what people wanted, what they didn't like, and tried to improve things. I thought this was like magical democratization of the world. And that really motivated me. It also motivated me to be able to provide jobs for people because market research was very labor intensive back in the day. And it took a lot of work just to complete one survey. And several people, like 4 people, usually touched a survey when it was back in paper because it had to be entered and then verified and things like that. But today, we move along without even doing the survey, without even looking. Let's switch now to Harvard Business School and what they teach us about curiosity and continuous learning, which are the hallmarks of strong leadership and strong democracies. I'll say it again: leaders are readers. Yet, according to the Financial Times, only 16% of Americans read for pleasure on a given day, down from 20% 20 years ago. That's not just a decline in reading, it's a decline in reflection. And sometimes I wonder, when we're reading social media, because I assume the books have been replaced by social media, Are you really reflecting when things are just slapping you across the face one after the other with streaming cat videos and guys falling on their hiney and people falling off the roof and boats sinking and things like that that give you a dopamine hit because that's like exciting. Oh my gosh, the boat. But we need to have that reflection time. We need to have that time where you look and you think about things and you relate it to your own life. And that's one of the drawbacks to TikTok with kids is they can become addicted to it so fast and the algorithm is so good that they don't think about their life. They don't own their life. They are not leading their life. When we stop reading, I think we stop growing. And when I mean reading, it's like reading the situation, reading the room, reading your coworkers, reading your spouse, reading in a listening sense. So for me, I don't grow if I don't listen. And when we stop growing, we stop leading. Proverbs says, let the wise hear and increase in learning, and the one who understands obtain guidance. Like I said, leadership requires humility and a willingness to keep learning, even when you're already good at your craft, because there are people involved, right? Now, government data still show that people with college degrees earn more on average than those without it, but that's not the whole story. Some graduates learn in 4 years everything except leadership, while tradespeople learn responsibility, accountability, and resilience every single day. Still, without personal growth, both paths hit a wall because leadership is the hinge on which long-term success turns. And I like to think that leadership with God in mind helps us be grounded when the world says it's all about the money. Remember, Galatians 6:4, each one should test their own work and then take pride in themselves alone without comparing themselves to someone else. When you work with integrity and gratitude, you not only earn a living, you can earn some peace of mind. Gratitude is the antidote often. Whether you're holding a hammer, flying an airplane, or running a company, remember, God doesn't just call us to work, He calls us to lead. This is kind of cool, right? He gives us the option to lead, to read, to reflect, to mentor somebody younger, build something that lasts longer than you do. Hard skills build careers, and values and vision build legacies. If you're ready to turn your leadership into a real ROI in terms of your influence, your impact, and income, check me out at bowleadershipgroup.com and send me something to request the 30-day confidence or a question you might need help with. Because whether you choose a trade or college, the world still needs you to lead with God in mind. Bless your week.